I would like to call to order the workshop for the school board for the city of Norfolk. Ms. Tanner, please call the roll.
Basine,
Here.
DeCalagero,
Here.
Martin,
Present.
Paulson,
Present.
Slaughter,
Present.
Thomas, Buffalo.
Here, we're going to move down to 2.01, chronic absenteeism dropout rate. Dr. Rose.
I will start with inviting Ms. McGarity to our microphone.
It's up there. It's the last one. Right.
Awesome. Thank you.
You want to get rid of that? There you go. There we go.
Chair Moore Buffalo, Vice Chair DeCalagero, Dr. Rose, and visitors. Provide an update of chronic absenteeism and dropout rates for quarter 3. Key takeaways from quarter 3 data are that the chronic absenteeism rate is minimally lower than quarter 2 at 19.6%, down from 19.9%. And most of the schools have reduced their chronic absenteeism rate since 9% of schools have reduced their chronic absenteeism rate this quarter. For dropouts, there's a slight increase of the dropout rate from 11.7 to 12.2 since quarter 2. I'll pull that up. However, the rate continues to be notably lower than the same time last school year, which was at 15.9%. All high schools saw a slight increase in their dropout rates this quarter, but 4 out of the 5 high schools increased only by less than 1 percentage point. In both areas, the rates are higher than we want, but in the long-term view is moving in the positive direction. What this means is that efforts in place are working in the majority of schools, but we are continuing to work towards consistency across the division. We're continuing to work towards consistency across the division. For the 19.6% of chronically absent students, 69% of their missed days are due to unexcused reasons. Schools are addressing this through targeted attendance meetings to identify the root causes and connect students to supports. Attendance recovery is a key strategy to mitigate learning loss. Students participate in structured face-to-face sessions outside of the school day, where 3 hours with a licensed teacher equates to 1 recovered day. These sessions are typically designed as targeted tutoring aligned to student needs. While attendance recovery also contributes points to accountability, the primary purpose is ensuring students regain lost instructional time. These attendance recovery programs are implemented for the majority of schools mid-year because attendance patterns are clear, but some do begin earlier. Schools have reported that beginning sometimes will depend on the availability of licensed teachers to teach outside of school hours and funding availability. Please understand, though, that attendance recovery is only one intervention for absenteeism, and we're using all resources possible to support students and families. For the dropout rate, school teams continue to work collaboratively to keep students on track, as well as making connections to re-engage students. Ongoing collaboration and training continues for schools to strengthen efforts and support student outcomes. In closing, we're seeing improvement at the majority of schools for the chronic absenteeism rate, but consistency across the division continues to be a goal. The dropout rates are lower than the prior school year at this time, but we continue to monitor closely. Thank you, and I'm happy to take any questions at this time.
School board members, you've heard the report. Are there any questions? Ms. DeCalagero?
Said 19.6, which of the chronic absenteeism, 69% of those days are unexcused?
So of the students who are chronically absent, which is that 19.6, yes, that 60, I said 69%, it's like 68.9, so 69%. Of their days are due to unexcused reasons.
Now, the students who are chronically absent, they also go into attendance recovery.
So they can, yeah. So I think the piece to remember here too with the chronically absent piece, or just any of the absenteeism, attendance recovery programs are not the only, that's really kind of the academic support for the missed instructional time. But the kids are still at the trigger points where they look, where the teams are meeting regularly and being able to put things in place. So resources they may need, MTSS, looking at that where it's a non-instructional barrier and all of those things are kind of happening. And then with the attendance recovery programs, that is going to be for students that anybody can attend that. It just has that criteria around it of face-to-face, and that has to be by a licensed teacher, and 3 hours worth equals a day of recovery attendance, where those points go back to the accountability system. But it looks like tutoring, it might be preventative for some kids, because we always talk about with the schools, if they are encroaching on becoming chronically absent, don't wait for them to get chronically absent to put supports in place. That it's one of those that when it's getting there, so some of it might be preventative, that are kids that are attending that, or other resources are being put in place that they're then able to kind of back up on, they don't become chronically absent.
So, can I ask?
Yes, yes.
So those 3 hours, that counts for a day of recovery.
It counts for a day of attendance recovery. And they
Now-
can only have a max of 15 days for it to go back towards the accountability system. They can attend more, but that's the max when we're talking and there's two things here. One is it's doing the right thing for kids. They've missed instructional time. They're getting recovery of instructional time, right? To support them moving forward academically. What works out in the wash, the timing piece of it, those criteria have to be met to go back towards the school's accountability program, system.
Even in high school, these are sessions given by a licensed teacher.
They have to be or they don't count. So if there's tutoring where it is maybe an unlicensed person, where we have lots of tutoring programs, and then that would not count towards the recovery that goes back to the accountability system.
Right, but I guess I'm concerned about high school because teachers are specialized in high school. So just because you're getting
Well, so
3 hours does not necessarily mean.
No, it's 3 hours, and 3 hours are going to be based in the area that they need. So if where they've missed, and typically it could be all day, so they might do different sessions with different content areas and things like that. It's not going to be just open-ended.
They can do 15.
They can recover up to 15 days, but they could do more time if they need it for supports.
I'm just wondering, and this is not to have a discussion now, this is maybe something down the right pike, but why go to school if I just have to go for 3 hours to make up my attendance? And that's just a rhetorical question. That's not trying to get us off topic, but
Well, no, Ms. DeCalagera, I think it's a fair question. It's a fair thought. And the reason, so that is something we watch for. So we watch for our schools bringing down their attendance rate of kids minus the recovery piece. So we don't let the recovery cloud, when we're looking at the data, we don't let the recovery time cloud what's actually happening. So where it's coming down, those are actually minus, without the recovery piece of it. It's not with, and so that's that's my fault for not being clear about that piece of it. So it is one of those ways in the end that yes, it is going to help with chronic absenteeism. But we do watch it separately because it's one of those where that exact point.
okay, so that chronic absenteeism rate for quarter 3 of 19.6% does not include attendance recovery.
When I look at it with attendance recovery, it's a little lower, not significantly, and we can see at schools and things like that. So I think it's a fair thought, and I am responding just because I wanted to clarify.
Dr. Rose?
I was going to say that it's actually a pretty good philosophical discussion. I mean, to your point, to have it now probably doesn't align to, but it is worth just conversation because not all educators
Right.
would agree that this is the most effective, right? I think we should look at data as has been described, and I would say that likely there could be a really good discussion / debate as it relates to what's best for students in the long run, right? This clearly creates a short-run solution, right? But the question would be, what would be the impact if this were not in place, right? And then is there other ways? We don't have the answer for that now. It's just an interesting question that I think could be explored, maybe not right now at this table, but I just think it makes sense.
Ms. Basine, then Ms. Slaughter.
Actually, and I know Ms. Slaughter had a question before, I'll defer,
Ms.
let her
Slaughter.
go first.
Thank you. That was very kind of you. I appreciate that. No, seriously, I do. My question is, do we track reasons for dropouts? And if so, what are we seeing?
Do we have reasons for dropouts? That gets, sorry, and I know it's, just gets cloudy. We have some of that, if we look backwards, some of it was 2 years ago, and those kinds of things, but it's not something that we could pull easily to say, here's our reasons. What we do have is up as much as possible is updated notes from the graduation coaches that they submit to kind of what has been the most recent contact, and what is that resulted, like what are maybe those barriers for coming in, looking at, so that they can look at, are there alternative ways that we can get them to complete school and things like that. So it's more about kind of, because that's who they're kind of trying to re-engage all the time, are those kids who have already dropped out
Right, because
on top of.
I'm wondering if we're identifying barriers, then what can we do to be proactive for those barriers moving forward? That was the reason why I asked the question.
I will say in a systematic data format report, no. But in the practicing, face-to-face, boots-on-the-ground work, that is recorded. And again, as much as possible, what they know about it, what does the kid need? Not just a number about credits and things, but when they've talked to the families, those kinds of things. Or, because we know for some kids, it's just, I've got to work.
Right.
Just had that presentation.
We did about a month ago, about 2
Grad
months.
coaches?
And so I'm sorry, I just said I had one question. You're giving me follow-up.
You're on the same.
So where does that information go once the graduation coaches enter it into the system? And then, so that's the first part of my last question.
Where it goes is they submit it in our department along with the, Ms. Moore, who presented a couple months ago. They use that, and it's what's called a graduation coach report, and it goes back out to the schools every Friday. So it is updated weekly. They're getting an update of what anybody has said. If a kid transfers around, that information comes with them so that they can track that information through a shared file that way.
Thank you. And my final question is, what do we do with that information?
What do we do with it? Those things, what the grad coaches in the schools do with it is that they do that to try and design resources, design programming that are alternative programs to try, what do kids need to finish? If it's a couple classes, they can look at an alternative situation, virtual things, they just kind of, all those things that Ms. Moore and her team went through at the last presentation are those, they start trying to implement as much as possible.
Okay, this is my last question, I promise. How long do they have to be separated from school before we consider them dropout?
Okay, I'm gonna answer this in the sense of, once a student is absent for 15 days,
Okay,
unexcused, anyway, they are withdrawn from school.
That's consecutive, right?
It is 15 days consecutive,
Right,
yes.
correct.
So once it's 15 days consecutive, they are withdrawn from school and we have to put a reason. If there is no logical reason from the family of why and they're transferring, they're a dropout that day.
okay.
And so, if they reengage, they're no longer a dropout. That kind of turns on and off.
Okay.
Ms. Basine,
Thank
then
you.
Colonel Polson.
I withdraw.
Oh, you withdraw, you can,
My
okay.
question's answered. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Glad I could help you out.
Ms. Basine.
Well, I really appreciate this conversation and the questions that have been asked by Ms. Slaughter also. Because that's something that I often, as you know, like ask, what's the root cause analysis? What does it show us? How are we collecting that data? And at some point, I'd like us to get from it being cloudy to being
Right.
a little more definitive so that we can plan resources around it. I know that grad coaches, we often hear we don't have enough of them. School social workers, we don't have enough of them. Those are all resources that I think would benefit our students in multiple ways. So I would like for us to like develop some sort of a plan of like really getting a handle on that. The other thing, back to the attendance recovery, I think this is a good conversation too about when attendance recovery begins and does it really benefit the student? I know it benefits us from an accountability framework standpoint in terms of getting those points, right?
It does, and I will say that's one of those things where we look at it as working out in the wash, because the kids are getting the support academically that they need from what they missed, is the way we look at that.
Right, but one of the reasons why we started looking at chronic absenteeism and the dropout rate was tied to a school accreditation,
Right.
the old accreditation definition, which right now would be, I guess, more synonymous with, I mean, basically, how are they doing academically? And so tying these reports to how they're doing academically, how are the students who are chronically absent and participating in those attendance recovery, are they improving academically? Like, are those programs actually benefiting the student is what I want to know. And then what is our investment in these attendance recovery programs? Because what resources are we using to fully implement them? Are we paying teachers more money to put those hours in? Like, what is the total cost of that? And if it's not benefiting the student primarily, what other things should we be putting in place to benefit the student so that we're actually moving the needle on literacy, on towards those academic outcomes that we need to improve? And so those are some things like moving forward that I would like, a better understanding of. I know you probably don't have the answer to those questions today, but I would like to know what that is. Want to know that we're using our resources and the strategies efficiently and effectively for the student.
And just as a note, no, I don't have an answer for all of that right now.
Yeah.
But what I can say is that the recovery programs, because it does look like remediation, tutoring kind of thing, it might be a mix of kids who are participating, not just the attendance recovery. You know what I mean? They might be there because of that, but there's also might be kids who are there for supports for other reasons. So it's not just a one line, you're not allowed to come in the door because you're not chronically absent. Kind of thing. So I just want to make sure that's clear for the public. That
Yes, and I appreciate that clarification. But one of the questions, and I'm sorry I didn't get to see if you provided the response to that, but one of the questions I had, for those that are chronically absent, what percentage of those students are participating in the attendance recovery?
So that piece, it's not huge right now. It fluctuates. I would have to look further. That's one of those things that would take more time for me to dig into the way that it's reported from the schools.
Okay.
We can see the differences, kind of bigger picture, but getting down into what percentage is what, and because they might be that it would take a minute to parse all that out.
Okay.
With the way it's reported. So it is, and it's one of those things we've been talking about recently, reasons around things, because we know excused, we know suspended, we know unexcused, we know religious absences and those kinds of things, but then that excused one, we've been talking, where does that go? And every school does it differently, so that's that consistency piece that we're looking for, so we're able to say, we can grab that information one way or another. Right now, every school has their own process of why.
For now, yeah, go ahead.
No, do you have another one you can?
No, not at this time.
Mr. Calogero?
Once the student has gone to attendance recovery, go back to the classes that they missed.
The work they did.
Well, in general, because, you see, as a parent, I can see how many days my child has missed. Once they've recovered that attendance, does that go into what I can see as a parent?
Okay, I see
or
what you're
does
saying,
it-
yes.
Or does it go somewhere else?
Synergy.
Gotcha. So this year, in the past, and I'm giving you the past just so kind of leads to where we are now. In the past, it has been on a spreadsheet that's submitted, and then it's updated in like our state reporting system, kind of that bigger thing that goes to the state to say, here's how many days. This year, we moved to beginning to add it to Synergy, but it is added as a makeup day, which I don't know, and I can find out for sure, but I don't think parents can see that a makeup, it doesn't just cancel it out in attendance, because we can't say you were not, we're not saying you were present on that day you were absent. We're saying you have made up that day. So for on, I think on parent, I'm pretty sure on Parent View, what you're seeing is still the absence, and not the makeup. And that's, it's a fair question. I'd have to look into it, where that shows up, because we have just moved into this year, and still having to work on schools keeping up with getting in the recovery time into Synergy so that it can go somewhere.
That's that history too.
It ends up there, it just used to end up there in a big dump at the end with spreadsheets, but now we've been working really hard, and I say we as a division, the department that manages Synergy, which is the parent view, the teacher view, all of the pieces, working towards getting that and schools getting that information in timely.
Yes, I do have one last question. So related to the dropout rate, and I know this is not an answer you would have today, but does the administration, or does the research team, do they look at, like, do any kind of forecasting? Like I asked the question, looking at sixth graders and eighth graders, and how, like, are they one or two reading grade levels behind? Because we know what the research shows around that. And trying to forecast ahead, like, okay, this is, a student that is at increased risk. What do we do right now in sixth grade going into seventh grade to support this student and family?
What the schools have access to is Power School, our data warehouse, data visualizations. There is an early warning system in there, so that's where, when I responded to that question, even, it was that schools have access to where students are, and it's that triangle that Ms. Moore talked to us about with the behavior, the absenteeism, and the academic piece that really starts to stay, and it starts really early. Elementary doesn't really use it, but it's just kind of that at-risk, may struggle towards graduation, and that kind of thing. So we've been working, we've had Power School for a year now? 3 that it's been fully, but that's one of those last pieces we were bringing on, are those at-risk indicators that schools can see for kids. And refining that because we have a little bit of control over what things trigger the at-risk.
Okay, so you're still trying to figure out how to use that information to...
We have it to use, but we want to refine it so that it is more reflective of what our population does. Because everything's going to be, it's a generic, these things trigger an early warning right now. So we're working towards trying to refine to say, okay, we see this of our population, add that in as a warning. And it goes all the way down. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay.
But Dr. Rose?
Oh, there's another question?
I just wanted to make sure, define as chronically absent when you miss how many days?
You're missing 10% of your school year.
That's right.
So all of this data, as we do it quarterly, is as if the school year ended that day. So right now, a student in quarter 3 may have 13 days absent. If they stay the rest of the school year and there's no more absences, they actually come off of that chronic absenteeism list. So that's why we run that data for the schools weekly to be able to review and use with a resource-based view for kiddos.
I just asked, because I got a letter, one of my children missed 3 days, and I got a letter
Yeah, I
warning
think
about
it's
chronic.
3.
There's absenteeism, I had to laugh.
When at 3, 7?
3 to 5 days, they start sending letters, and then there's the conference and those kinds of things after that.
Yeah.
Uh-oh,
Yep. See, I've got my
that's
little
what she wanted to know. I was in
Yes.
parent view,
It's-
Dr. Rose.
Well,
Parents
want to know if they can see this in parent view.
I would, Ms. McGarity, I would never break into song in public, especially I would want to spare the board and those watching. That being said, myself, and I'm sure others would join me in just wishing you a very happy birthday.
Aw, thank you, yeah.
I'm a singer.
Aw, that was so sweet. My grandsons showed up earlier today to bring me presents, and then they left with the presents.
Happy birthday
He said my present.
to you.
Oh, I like that's a good one.
Happy birthday to you.
Tiffany, you want to dance?
Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you very much. That's very sweet. Thank you.
I thought Dr. Rose had a song around chronic absence.
I did too. I was like, I'm ready
I
to
was
see
like, I
this.
want to hear that.
I do not.
Okay. I went to governor's school for the arts and dance, so
And
did
if I
Miss
did, it
Whitfield. We
wouldn't
can do interpretation. About
Well,
absence.
I guess that's a great way to end our report.
Thank you.
With no more questions? Well, thank you.
Sure thing. And do remember, you have the school list also. I'm sorry, I failed to say that earlier.
Yes.
That for your review.
Thank you.
Thank
All right, we're going to move down to 2.02. May I have a motion to go into closed session?
I move that we go into closed session.
Thank you, Dr. Martin. May I have a
Second.
second? Thank you, Ms. Basine. Any discussion? Hearing none, Ms. Tanner, please read the motion.
I'm going to try to read this long motion without coughing. so
Okay.
just bear
Get some
with me.
water.
Move that the members of the school board of the city of Norfolk go into a closed meeting for the purposes which are set out in subsection A of section 2.2-3711 of the Virginia Freedom of Information Act as amended for discussion, consideration, or interviews of prospective candidates for employment, assignment, appointment, promotion, performance, demotion, salaries, disciplining, or resignation of specific public officers, appointees, or employees of the school board pursuant to subsection 2.2-3711A1 of the Act. The subjects covered by this exemption are the discussion of number one, specific personnel currently on administrative leave for various reasons. Number two, specific personnel and personnel actions included on today's personnel docket. Three, specific personnel whose placements are affected by recent vacancies in administrative positions. And four, specific personnel whose placements are affected by recent actions consolidating, redistricting, or altering pupil assignment plans for various schools. Letter B, discussion or consideration of disciplinary and any other matters concerning students in Norfolk Public Schools that will involve the disclosure of information contained in the scholastic record pursuant to subsection 2.2-3711A2 of the Act. The subject covered by this exemption is the discussion of students and disciplinary actions on today's student support docket. And C, consultation with legal counsel regarding specific legal matters requiring the provision of legal advice by counsel pursuant to subsection 2.2-3711A8 of the Act. The subjects covered by this exemption are consultation in connection with the matters set above in subsections A through B of this motion. Basine?
Aye.
Calagero?
Aye.
Martin? Paulson?
Aye.
Slaughter?
Aye.
Thomas? Buffalo.
Aye. We are now in closed session. You did it. Good evening. Welcome to the school board meeting for Wednesday, April 15, 2026. A quorum is present to conduct the business of the school board. Ms. Tanner, please call the roll.
Basine?
Here.
DeCalagero?
Here.
Martin?
Present.
Paulson?
Present.
Slaughter?
Present.
Thomas? Buffalo.
Here, we're going to move down to 4.03, Pledge of Allegiance. Ms. Ash, would you please do the honors?
Can everyone please silence their cell phones at this time? And please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, we're going to move down to 4.04, adoption of the school board business meeting agenda. May I have a motion to approve the business meeting agenda?
I move that we adopt and approve the business meeting agenda.
Thank you, Ms. Slaughter. May I have a second?
A second.
Thank you, Kona Polson. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, Ms. Tanner, please call the roll.
Basine?
Aye.
DeCalagero?
Aye.
Martin?
Aye.
Paulson?
Aye. Sorry.
Slaughter?
Aye.
Thomas? And Buffalo.
Aye. Moving down to 4.05, school board members' reports. We're going to start this evening with Ms. Chandler Nguyen. Come on up to the podium.
Good evening, school board members. My name is Mariana Chandler Nguyen. I attend Norfolk Technical Center, and this is the report for Norfolk Technical Center. The 2026 Virginia FCCLA State Leadership and Recognition Conference in Virginia Beach featured star events, workshops, and awards. FCCLA stands for Family, Career, and Community Leaders of America. At NCC, students in culinary arts, fashion design, and early childhood education participated. For AM students, we had 2 silver winners, one for classic knife cuts from Cody Marsagon from Norview High School, and Focus on Children from Abigail Pleasant, who attends Lake Taylor High School. And then for PM students, we have gold from Fashion Construction from Casey Disovic from Granby High School, and Madison Nixon from Granby High School, who won in fashion design. And we also had the 2026 HOSA State Leadership Conference in Roanoke. HOSA stands for Health Occupation Students of America. At NTC, students in dental careers, clinical medical assistant, pharmacy technician, and practical nursing participated. In pharmacy science, Jonathan Moore from Granby High School was a state finalist. Jaya Garris from Norview High School was also a state finalist. In dental terminology, Amiris Land Maury High School was a state finalist. And in dental science, we won first, second, and third place. First from Anaya Clark Maury High School, second Ava Crump Norview High School, and third Zipporah Stevenson from Lake Taylor High School. Many students at NTC won Student of the Quarter, one being myself for cosmetology, my leadership in my class and participation. My leadership in my class and participation as an officer for National Technical Honor Society was one of the many reasons why I was given this award. Thank you.
Well, now we know those beautiful, as I call them, French braids. I love them. They're pretty. All right, we're going to move on with our reports. Ms. Slaughter?
Yes. So I had the pleasure of attending the mentoring her in minutes at Booker T. Washington High School, where 2 of our board members were honored, Chair Buffalo Moore and Mrs. Thomas. So that was really exciting and really proud of them. And I also had the opportunity, if there's going to be a game, you're going to find me there because I'm a cheerleader, once a cheerleader, always a cheerleader. They wouldn't let me wear the uniform, though. I don't know, Dr. Rose, if you can do something about that, but, his wife also wanted a cheerleading uniform, so I was not alone. But I had the opportunity to attend the middle school basketball tournaments with Norview Middle and Blair Middle, and it was so exciting, and I had so much fun.
Thank you, Ms. Slaughter. We're going to move on, Ms. Basine.
All right. Well, let's see. So since our last business meeting, prior to the break, I was able to attend the Ghent School's Math and Literacy Night, which they had a glow theme, which was very cool. It took me a while to figure out, because it was dark, where everything was happening, but it was a really great way, an engaging way to have families and students getting together to practice some math and literacy skills in a way that was relevant and fun. So that was really cool. And then finally, we went to the same night. ADL also had their 8th grade community passion projects, which was, I mean, if there are times when you don't feel like or you feel like what's happening in this world, I would highly recommend you go attend one of our schools, talk to our students, because, man, some of these community projects and solutions that they were coming up with toward these community solutions really reignite faith in humanity, because just remarkable students doing remarkable things. And the day before we went on break, I had an amazing time at James Monroe Elementary, and I was able to be there twice that day for the career day and for their community event, which was more of, they were honoring ODU and showing support for Old Dominion University, which we all know experienced, a horrible tragedy last month. But they also were emphasizing their partnerships, so the partnerships that we have with some of our higher education institutions. And during that event, they highlighted scholars, they highlighted staff. I mean, the day before vacation, the school was packed. And so that was really exciting to see the engagement of our students and the engagement of our staff. And so I really want to commend James Monroe Elementary as well. So that was it for me.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Basine. Colonel Paulson.
Good evening. Last meeting, I didn't mention where I was doing a reading across America, so I got a phone call the next day and said, hey, you forgot us. So I was at the Ocean View Elementary School, so I thank them for that opportunity. I went to visit Camp Young, Mary Calcott. Let's see, I got Camp Young on there again, but it didn't go twice. PB Young, and I had Camp Young is a neat place out there, and I met the coordinator and the staff. They were all there that day, and a good program that goes on there. Went to the dedication for the baseball park by Ocean View Elementary School. I've been to the Ocean View and East Little Creek Business Associations. They're interested in what we're doing, and so I'm keeping up with them. I went to the Future Problem Solving of Virginia awards ceremony that was on a Saturday at Granby High School. The first and second place winners from there go to the international competition in Indianapolis later this year. So that was kind of interesting. I did that last year also. It was really nice. The GSA Regional Board, went to their meeting. I also went to the Wearable Arts event that they had, where the students took clothing and put their art on it, and then they exhibited it. And it was quite a production. Watching these, it was like, what do they call it, where they have clothing in fashion show, there you go. I don't go to many, so. But that was really interesting. And the biggest thing I did was I went with a veterans group of motivational speakers, and we went to a place called Clark County Schools in Nevada. They are the 5th largest district in the United States. But these, I was not a speaker, I was a part of the support staff. And to watch the children and how they reacted to these veterans and their story of how they improved their life, and that was the point of it, is who am I and what am I going to be? And so that was a very, very interesting, and we went to 4 schools in 2 days. And it was a interesting event. So that's it for this report.
Thank you, Colonel Polson. Ms. DiCalagero.
Good evening. As Mr. Steen mentioned, I did also attend the Academy for Discovery at Lakewood's middle year program and their community service project showcase. I will tell you, we have quite a few animal lovers in this city, and their projects were, quite frankly, extraordinary. I had the ability to go and participate in the Jay Cox Elementary Easter egg hunt on a Saturday. It was just organized chaos, and the running to the field to collect the eggs was a sight to see. I attended superintendent training on how to evaluate the superintendent. And finally, like most working parents, I tried to balance, spending time with my children and my work needs over spring break. We were able to go up to Charlottesville and attend Admitted Students Day at the University of Virginia. And I just want to say what an amazing education our students get. My daughter has been in Norfolk Public Schools since kindergarten, and I'm happy to say she will be matriculating to the University of Virginia in the fall in the engineering school.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, Ms. Thomas. Ms. Thomas? Come back up.
You come back. Okay, wonderful. First, I want to say vote yes. That's it. The last couple of weeks have been busy, entertaining, and joyful to me. On April the 2nd, it was very exciting, entertaining to attend and watch our Blair Clippers basketball team play in the championship game. They didn't win, but they had a wonderful season, so give it up to them. Okay. On April the 3rd, I went to Campusella STEM Academy and had a great visit with the principal, Dr. James, Dr. Lovely James. Also, I visited and supported Booker T. Washington's staff on that same day. They had a talent show, a staff talent show. I wrapped up that day with the pleasure of visiting St. Helena Elementary to partake in their annual Easter egg hunt. Thank you, Principal Robertson, for the beautiful invitation. On Saturday, April the 4th, I had the pleasure of attending a community Easter hunt at Jay Cox with 2 of my fellow board members and a couple from City Council. Thank you, Principal Dr. Williams, for being present and allowing the community to take part in an awesome and fun event. During the week of spring break, I worked. Also, I visited several Easter egg hunts that many of our NPS students attended that was hosted by Norfolk Police Department and Norfolk Redevelopment Housing Authority at all of their housing property, which was 5. So I went to 5 Easter egg hunts. I got candy too. Also yesterday, which was yesterday evening, it was a great thing to recognize our 2025-26 VSHL High School Basketball Champions, which is the Northview Pilots, at the City Council meeting last night. I also would like to say thank you to the athletic directors and a special thank you and sincere appreciation to our senior athletic coordinator, Steve Sutmiller. If you're looking, thank you. My position is more than attending meetings, making policies, or being in front of a camera. but also being available, engaged, and involved with our students, staff, parents, and community. Here at Norfolk Public Schools, every student and every staff matters. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Thomas. Dr. Martin?
Good evening, everyone. I hope you all had a relaxing spring break. I actually have been out of town for the past 2 weeks, so I took my own personal spring break early, and went out west skiing with some friends. Although there's no snow right now, so we had to go in search of snow, which but we found it, and it was really fun time. While I was out west, my oldest son is graduating from Granby's IB program this year, well, next month, to be specific. And so we did some college visits, and he chose his college. I guess I'll announce it. I think it's public knowledge now. He'll be going to Colorado University, Boulder. And he got into the architecture program and the business school. He's going to minor in business. And it's really interesting to me because in our schools we do these aptitude tests to just figure out like what the students are, what their talents are, and so on and so forth. And ever since he started taking these tests, it's always directed him toward architecture. And then it turns out he grows up and he loves architecture, and that's what he wants to pursue. So there's some science behind that. I also attended the Lock Haven Neighborhood Civic League meeting on Tuesday. And I'm Orthodox Christian, and so we had Pascha, so Christos Anesti. That was this weekend, so I'm going to have to probably go to bed early for the rest of this week. It's been pretty busy. But yeah, so I hope you all, again, had a nice, enjoyed your spring break.
Well, yes. Well, by the time it gets to me, everything has been said. I hope everyone has enjoyed their spring break. I have to say, it was the first time in a long time that the South Side and the Peninsula had the spring break at the same time, so I did absolutely nothing. I had the pleasure of attending also the MYP Community Project Showcase at ADL. Also attended the Jaycox Easter egg hunt. That was, like you said, Misty Caligera, interesting but fun. The passion projects at the Academy at Rosemont. I do want to say I'm excited about next Thursday that Norfolk Public Schools is hosting the Virginia School Board Association Tidewater Regional Forum at Norview High School, an opportunity for superintendents and school boards from our Region 2 district to come together, have dialogue around issues in school districts. So I'm looking forward to that. And again, congratulations, Ms. Thomas and myself, on being recognized at Booker T. Washington.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, sister.
I'm sorry.
Yes, and we were recognized for our work in the community for Women's History Month. And so I'm just going to leave with you with this, Norfolk Public Schools. We're going to get there because I believe that healthy families and strong communities lead to strong schools. All right. I'm going to hand it over to you, Dr. Rowe.
Well, I have been mentioning this to a lot of people, and I can honestly say that these days I am wonderfully overwhelmed. And that means I'm learning a lot, but it's in an extremely healthy way. I'm grateful that I have just felt welcome, supported, and able to listen and ask lots of questions, and people have been extremely patient with me. And I'm seeing significant opportunity in terms of across NPS, and I would agree with many of our board members that our future definitely is bright, and I believe that. Clearly, we have some very strong people, as well as really, really impressive programs. I'm also seeing these opportunities, right, to strengthen some of our systems, to improve clarity and consistency in how we support schools. Currently, we have a couple of areas of focus. Number one, the city has yet, they will pass their budget soon. And when they do, we will assess the alignment, the gaps, and the implications, and then we will bring forward a recommendation once again to the board in the coming weeks. I mentioned systems and clarity. I do think that there are opportunities, as I mentioned in the last board meeting, as it relates to helping our community as well as all of our staff specific to a chain of command. We are starting a process on what will end up in a recommendation to the board on policy, as well as create clear communication systems and follow through. My favorite times throughout the week are visiting schools. And to Colonel Paulson's point, I am fearful of mentioning the schools because I will forget one. There's been so many that I've been able to visit, and I learned so much. And the opportunity to sit down with the principal, learn about them, their path, but then walk the building is just an absolute joy, and clearly the favorite part of my weeks. We've had these student experiences. Many have been mentioned. Battle of the Books, MYP, Community Project and Showcase. We're not supposed to have favorites. We're not supposed to. Little Feet, right? this Little Feet, that's something else. That's hard to beat. To watch these incredible students ear to ear, feeling successful and enjoying themselves. That was just I can't stop thinking about that. What an amazing event. Community engagement, I've had a chance to meet with the Norfolk Corporation, the GNC Board of Directors, ongoing communications with the Old Dominion University, Virginia Wesleyan University. I have some other higher ed institutions coming up next week, meeting with the WHRO leadership, engaged with the Junior Achievement, and I attended the Booker T. Washington event, and it made me very proud to watch 2 of our board members honored. It just felt good. It felt good. What I'm hearing consistently is this. Our community wants to engage. I'm seeing our community want to partner. I think that opportunity for partnerships is just extremely ripe here in Norfolk, and I'm excited. And building partnerships for us, I think, will be key as it relates to our student improvement, and also the narrative of what our schools are, but more importantly, what they're going to become. I'm excited and was a tad bit jealous today, watching the city give their State of the City event. They did a wonderful job. I was extremely impressed, and the narrative that they created about what's happening in Norfolk it was inspirational to listen to. It made me feel excited about being here. I think that needs to be on our horizon. How do we, of course, communicate that effectively with the right crowd to demonstrate not just who we are, but where we're heading? I think in the future, the state of a school event, whether we're part of the State of the City or we take this on our own, I think would be the right thing to do to demonstrate the true narrative of the kinds of environments that we believe our kids deserve and are currently experiencing. Community, colleagues, I appreciate you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Rose. We're going to move down to 4.07, highlights and celebrations. Ms. Tanner.
Yes, Madam Chair, I would like to begin with recognizing the beautiful artwork here in the boardroom and in the 12th and 11th floors. We should give our talented art students a round of applause. They've done great work, and especially this piece of art, this a heart that's in here. This is a first that we have had. So, and I think it might be Granby Elementary. So we look forward to having their art every year. And next, we have special literary readings from the talented Teens with a Purpose. Ms. Deidre Love and her son, and Jeremy Clark is going to come forward and introduce this group.
Good evening, School Board Chair, Ms. Buffalo, Vice Chair, Mr. Calogero, board members, and Superintendent Dr. Rose. Thank you for the opportunity to highlight the work of Teens with a Purpose. This organization empowers young people to develop their voices through creative expression, leadership, and community engagement. Through poetry, music, and mentorship, Teens with a Purpose supports students in building confidence, resilience, and that strong sense of purpose, both in and out of the classroom. Norfolk Public Schools is fortunate to have such an impactful community partner. Tonight, we are proud to present 3 talented seniors from Granby High School, Miari Bell, Brianna Belcher, and Cam Williams, who will share original poems that reflect their experiences and perspectives and serve as just a sampling of the creativity, passion, and powerful literacy that exists within all our schools. We will hear from Ms. Bell first, with her poem, Pollution and Politics. Then Ms. Belcher will present her poem, Wishing Bone. And finally, Mr. Williams will share his work, Arms and Hands. The presentation will close with brief remarks from the founder and co-director of Teens with Purpose, Ms. Love. Thank you for this opportunity. Ms. Bell.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Miari, also known as Mooney Bell, and I will be performing my poem, Pollution and Politics.
You can move, I'm sorry.
There's a button.
We want to be able to hear you well.
Yeah. There you go.
Dirty land, dirty air, now dirty water. Families and friends downtown don't have any water because city officials and downtown workers that they hired to take charge would rather build landfills and burn fossil fuels for a little bit more money that doesn't even benefit us as the people. We still have poisonous waste and chemicals seeping through our pipelines, daring to strike at our lifelines that continue to crash our environment while abusing our resources. Instead of planting more oxygen so we can breathe, they're chopping down trees and cutting the supply. Streets and cars are flooded, but they're too worried about their pockets being filled while we're being billed. We can't even get any clean water or go a day without flooding because they're so spilled from out of contact of this ideal that the people they're supposed to support are struggling. We're stuck in time like frozen water that's ice because them people downtown don't want to hear no poor people advice. They're taking our phones at school, but this dirty water is slowly taking away lives of people and animals around us. We used to live so safe and sound, not worrying where our next clean drink would come from. We have public health crisis, but we're just like mice when we bring them up because in their minds, it's better things to do rather than save lives and keep these pipes clean. They're worried about iPads. We can't see our car floor pads because they're so full with water from rain that is damaged beyond repair. Just like this economy that's slowly luring into despair. Do you see it? Because we do. Do you see it? Because this is something tragic we're going through. To those who are in charge, how about you use your power to do what is right? Don't just talk a good game and not back it up because those who put you in office are heavily depending on you. You need to take action. You need to hear us through because soon our water won't be so pretty and clear. Only gloomy and murky, then what will we do? One day the pipes won't run and kids won't know what it means to have a fun water day in the sun. All they'll know is having to filter their water up before pouring it on top of their ice in a cup. Is that what you want for our future? Not for you or for me, but for everyone to see, to struggle and live in a world filled with pollution and heavily despair? We have some who have access to filtered water and some do not. We need to put this worldwide crisis to a stop before it's too late because once the clock stops, that might be our last clean water drop. To drink, to bathe, to run, to play, to swim in pools. Our community will soon go bankrupt, but not with wealth, but our water will be gone. Gone forever because it's not a renewable source. We need to act on this now. We need to become a bigger force for us, our families, friends, and more because soon clean water may not be a thing for us anymore.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hello.
My name is Brianna, and I'm going to be performing The Wishing Bone, made by me. A wishing bone is used to give you an opportunity. On the long end of the stick, you get lots of money, the girl or guy of your dreams, a new episode of Love Island, a new season of Bridgerton, and a sunset for days. If that doesn't sound interesting to you, you can make a cult, convince everyone to kill themselves because they think that you're a messiah. Or, if you're rich enough, you can put up a Nazi salute and brainwash a bunch of righties into thinking that it's a Roman salute. Plot twist, he's not Roman and we're not in Rome. And if all of that sounds boring to you, you can get rid of 34 counts of, well, anything, and become president with those counts. As long as you're not gay, black, or a woman, or a combination of the three, you can be a pedophile, sexist, and a racist. But on the plus side, if you're someone like Shane Dawson, it's okay because things were different in 2017. But hey, that's just the kind of things that money could buy. And on the short end of the bone, which is most people's reality, a life of gun and stray cats everywhere. A life where if you're not famous or a politician, better luck next time. It's a dystopian that not even a book could hide. But at the end of the day, it's an opportunity to experience what people could dream of, and not to experience what gets shadow banned on TikTok and what people constantly have to debate over on Jubilee. The choice will always be yours on what you choose to do with your luck, but remember that there's always people like me who will never get a chance to touch the wishing bone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my full name is Kamarion Williams, and I'm grateful for this opportunity. I will be performing Arms and Hands. If my community was a body part, it would be the arms and hands. These streets, they breathe like palms stretched wide, picking up the pieces of the ones who are lost. VA's hands callous yet so full of pride, fingers trace the cracks of abandoned homes, shaken shelters are now where the lost souls roam. They're to lend a hand, they're to hold your hand if you need it, they're to wipe the tears off your face, they're to give you a hug wrapped in warmth. Arms there to spray paint on brick walls, making masterpieces that I stare at in awe. I once pushed a man chair-bound, one leg gone, through the cold to a place where he could call his dawn. Our hands, they lift, they carry, they mend, pouring energy into work that never sees an end. Our hands making music because it's the only way to make it out. School bully uses his hands to snatch your money or shake it out. Young boy about my age selling dope, trying to make some clout. Spraying friends with dirty water from the water spout. Hands pressing missing pet posters. Hands wiping the dirt off my J's from 2v2s at the court. Or fingers of black mothers braided way too tight. Hands of black mothers grabbing you by the shirt because you was talking slick. Hands of my mother's, hands of my home, stained with the toil, building dreams on a foundation of toil. Fingertips touch history, roots run deep. Fingers that grip the plow, the pen, the mic, and yet, as a black man, I still feel the weight of a history that tries to dictate. But my hands, they're strong, and they refuse to break. They carry my dreams that the world cannot take, transforming legacies and turning them into fate. In a land where the struggle and the hope both meet, snuggle arms that attack you so you won't get a touchdown. Arms squeeze the heck out of loved ones because in this world you might not see them again. Hands for shadow boxing, hands for counting and math, hands of the barbecue, hands pouring grown-ups to drink. My hands unwrapping ice cream because we spent our last dollars on it. Hands swipe mosquitoes off limbs but still end up with bites. Hands for loves, arms for loves. My community represents the arms and hands, shaping new beginnings and creating new endings.
Thank you. Welcome.
First thing I want to say, I'm Deirdre Love. I'm the founder and I'm the Chief Cultural Officer. I pass the torch to my son, Andre Love, and to Michelle Sims, and they are the co-directors. They grew up in the org, and now they're at the helm. The second thing I want to say about what you all heard, about what you all had the privilege of witnessing, is who normally you would not get the opportunity to hear what they think and to know that they are listening and paying attention to this world, to what is happening, and they are tired of it being the way that it is and charging us as adults to do something. They are articulate, they are courageous, thoughtful, and I'm very proud of the work that you all do and your bravery and the literacy. It's just such a beautiful package, and we're so honored to have the opportunity to bring this here. And I really hope, whether we agree with everything they say, that isn't the point. That you hear them, that you consider what they say, and that you're in a space of, we call it radical listening. Radical listening, just be quiet and not judge, but hear what young people have to say. So thanks for the opportunity. Before I leave the podium, I just would like to mention a few things. April is National Poetry Month, and Teens with a Purpose has the privilege of presenting the Virginia Poet Laureate Program, which young people from all over the state have the opportunity to apply. We're the only organization in the state So young people everywhere have to come through this little Norfolk-born organization to get that opportunity. And if you're the winner of the Virginia Poet Laureate, the Hampton Roads Poet Laureate, or the Norfolk Poet Laureate program, which are all under our beautiful umbrella, you also, that's the only way you can have the opportunity from the whole state of Virginia to apply for National Poet Laureate, which Amanda Gorman did a beautiful job of, Biden's commencement when he was installed as president. So we're hoping one of our young people will have that opportunity. For 2025, a Norfolk student was the Virginia Poet Laureate. He represented us really, really well. And some of these poets will be applying. So this Sunday is the commencement, and that's when we'll find out who is the next for 2026, Virginia Poet Laureate, Hampton Roads Poet Laureate, and the Virginia Poet Laureate. And so I hope, Andre would like to just pass out to the board.
Would you give it to the clerk, and she'll make sure we get it?
Oh.
Thank you.
To share with you. It's just an overview on the organization, but I probably won't be at the podium next year. If we have this opportunity, it would be Andre or Michelle. So thank you for having us each year. Thank you for listening, and can we just clap one more time for the
Yes,
poets?
absolutely. Thank you. Ms. Tanner, is that the end of your report?
Yes, that's it in my report. Thank you.
Okay, we're going to go down to 4.08, citizen comments. Ms. Tanner?
Yes, for today's citizen comments, we have one speaker. Today's speaker signed up for public comments before the start of today's business meeting. If you would like to provide public comments, you're required to state the agenda item or items or topic you are addressing prior to providing your public comments. When your name is called, please come forward to the speaker's podium, state your name and whether you have a child in Norfolk Public Schools or if you're employed by the district. One person is to speak at a time. If you're representing a group, state the group's name. You may ask your group members to stand and please be recognized. Speaking time is limited to 3 minutes. A timer is set with an alarm that will signify the end of your speaking time. State your position and give facts. Avoid saying anything that identifies students or personnel information about individual employees. Personnel, disciplinary, and confidential matters may be addressed directly to the school board via email at schoolboard@nps-k12.com. Comments should be addressed to the board and not addressed to an individual member. School board members do not respond to public comments at the time they are given. Any written statements or supporting materials should be given to the clerk. Chairwoman Buffalo Tammy Hunter is our first speaker for this evening. Thank you, ma'am. You have it?
Welcome.
Welcome. Hello, good evening. Psalms 23, 1 and 6. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me to lie down in green pasture. He leadeth me beside still waters. He restores my soul. He leadeth me in the path of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I fear no evil. For thy art with me. Thy rod, thy staff, and thy comfort me. Thy prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemy. Thy anointed my head with oil. My cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life. Forever. Amen. I thank each and every one of you for going out, supporting your community. That is well deserved because the kids need to see board members on the outside. I stand before you today to speak about our kids, about bullying, harassment. My grandbaby, a couple of months ago, was bullied and harassed by teachers that didn't even know him, but knew him because of his appearance. I am currently being bullied, harassed, and it is overwhelming. I need for board members, I passed out flyers for you to look at these brochures, for you to address these brochures. I have been placed on administrative leave in December. I've asked several times to be transferred from the school that I'm currently at to any other school. It does not matter. I'm a hard worker. I'm a dedicated worker. Beyond my medical and my health, I still go above and beyond. My fear is kids being neglected. If I'm protecting them, who protects me? When I have staff members that are tormenting me and I have to press charges, I go to court April the 20th because of it. Who protects me when I protect them? You have us to sign documentation saying that we are mandated reporters, that we are supposed to be a voice for these kids. I work with kids that have disabilities. I have family members that have disabilities. If you, as administrators, board members, parents, loved ones, if you don't stand for something, you will fall for anything. We have to learn to stand for something. Thank you.
Thank you.
This concludes our speakers.
Thank you, Ms. Tanner. We're going to move down to 4.09, approval of the consent agenda. May I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I move that we approve the consent agenda.
I second.
Okay, motion by Dr. Martin and seconded by Ms. Slaughter. Thank you very much. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, Ms. Tanner, please call the roll.
Basine?
Aye.
Calagero?
Aye.
Martin?
Aye.
Paulson?
Aye.
Slaughter?
Aye.
Thomas? Buffalo.
Aye. We're going to move down to 6.01, monthly financial report. Dr. Rose.
I will call on Mr. Starks to step to the podium, please. Thank you.
Good evening, Chair Buffalo, members of the board, and Dr. Rose. Tonight, I'm presenting the monthly financial report for period 9, covering activity through March 31st. I will briefly cover our financial position, revenue, and expenditure trends, and the status of grant funds. The division's position is stable and aligned with expectations. Revenues are tracking consistently with prior years. Expenditures are progressing on pace. Our total budget is $476 million. Through March, we have received $336.6 million, or 70.7% of revenues, and expended or encumbered $361.2 million, or 75.9% of budget. This creates a $24.6 million variance where expenditures exceed revenue. This is typical at this point in the fiscal year and reflects timing. Expenditures include encumbrances recognized early, while state and city revenues continue through June. From a revenue perspective, state funding is at 67.7%, with incentive funds trailing as expected due to timing. City funds are at 72.5% and tracking well. Overall, revenue collections are consistent with fiscal years 2024 and 2025, and we expect full alignment by year end. Expenditures are on track for this stage of the year. Instruction remains the primary driver, particularly salaries and benefits, with approximately 24% of instructional budget remaining, which is approximately 3 months. There are 3 areas I want to highlight. First, special education. Purchase services are running approximately $3.2 million over the subline budget. This is primarily due to contracted placements. However, this is an offset within the budget, and the overall budget remains balanced. The second is utilities. Within operations, utilities are nearly fully committed with about 3% remaining. We are monitoring this closely, but it is manageable within the broader operational budget. The third is non-regular day school. We identified expenditures to an incorrect general line. This is a classification issue, not an over expenditure, and corrections are underway. Move to grants. We're currently managing approximately $119 million in federal and state grants. Federal grants are about 70% utilized. State grants are about 92% utilized. Those grants include Fruit and Vegetable Program, Advancing Computer Science, Adult Education Literacy, Comprehensive Literacy. Some of the variances are based on program timing, and some are well underway. Others are in early implementation and will accelerate later this quarter. For both federal and state grants, I've contacted each grant manager directly, and they have confirmed spending is aligned with their approved plans. Funds will be expended within the required timelines, and investments are focused on student impact and program delivery. For state grants with near-term deadlines in April and June, we are similarly confident that funds will be fully and appropriately utilized. At this time, we do not anticipate any material lapse in grant funding. In summary, the division's financial position is stable, revenues are consistent, expenditures are on track, the current variance is timing related, and all identified issues are limited and are being actively managed.
School board members, you've heard the monthly financial report. Are there any questions? Ms. Basine?
I just have a comment, and I want to thank you, Mr. Starks, for answering the questions that were submitted ahead of time. That was helpful to hear in this presentation, so thank you. I just wanted to say thank you.
Is there anyone else? Hearing none, may I have a motion to approve the monthly financial report subject to audit?
I move that we approve the monthly financial report subject to audit.
Second.
Thank you, D. Calogero. Dr. Martin, any discussion? Hearing none, Ms. Tanner, please call the roll.
Dean.
Aye.
DeCalagero.
Aye.
Martin.
Aye.
Olson.
Aye.
Slaughter.
Aye.
Thomas. Buffalo.
Aye. We're down to 7.01. No further business. This meeting is adjourned.